Yeah, that's fair. Have you ever said that to your spouse? Have you ever heard your spouse say that to you? This is yet another one of my pet peeves. The good old, yeah, that's fair response. And so we're going to talk about that today, and later on I'm going to share with you why that is an incredibly useless response. You know which one I'm talking about though, right? I mean, like what that looks like in real life. You know what I mean, yeah? Like when your husband or your wife is saying something to you, voicing their pain about something, right? Like maybe it's about how you forgot to show up for something important, or you weren't on time when they have asked you specifically to be on time for that event, particularly because for whatever reason it was really important to them, or they're sharing with you how you let them down at the family reunion last weekend, or whatever the case might be, and you, in the most humble way possible, respond with, yeah, that's fair. As in, yeah, I can see that. What is up with that? Right? Like, now you can see this is truly a pet peeve of mine. I'm going to get fiery. And then you sort of continue to agree to the thing that they're asking, right? As if you needed to agree with it or see it. Like, that's not hard to do. That's too easy. It's too easy to respond with, right, with what you need to respond with when you agree with what your spouse is saying to you. Like, we have got to stop pretending that it matters for us to actually agree and listen when, or particularly listen, or listen better even, when we're not in agreement, right? When we don't see it exactly the same way. When you can't actually say the words following whatever your spouse just said to you, yeah, that's fair. Because that's fair says and assumes, yep, I see it where you're coming from, and I would have probably been also equally, as pissed if that situation would have happened in reverse, right? If I would have been on the receiving end of it. Like, that would have bothered me also, or that would be ridiculous for you to do also. So yes, I see how it's ridiculous that I did that. I want you to listen and pay attention even if, or particularly when, you cannot say that's fair. Like all those times that you keep screaming at the top of your lungs instead of the appropriate response, saying, that's not fair, right? Or if you're not screaming it actually, but you're worried your insides are going to pop open because you can't contain it any longer. Like when you don't, in fact, see it the same way, that's when I want you to listen. That's when I want you to care about it more and make it matter. Like there's so much talk about how much help couples need with communication, right? 95% of my couples that walk into my office, like it's one of their top 5 goals, no doubt. Because we've heard it all around us, right? The message is loud and clear. We need to communicate better. And we're not communicating very well, right? But so many times that's said, what people understand that to mean is we need to learn how to talk to each other better. I need to learn how to express myself better. And that's the big misconception. So if we're not to do the yeah, that's fair, what do we do instead? When you don't see it the same way, that's when I want you to perk up your ears like the puppy that's heard somebody messing with the jar where the treats are kept. Like that's when your spouse needs you to listen more and listen better. So leave the that's fair nonsense on the sideline. Please stop acting like you have to approve or somehow agree with what your spouse's request is, and just listen. Put all your ideas about what's reasonable or like normal for you, put them aside. Stop assigning your values to the rest of the world without ever having done any research, right? Leave all that on the sidelines and just listen. And when what they are saying doesn't quite make sense to you from your perspective, right? When you aren't understanding it, like getting their point, ask them to explain, by all means. But even if in the end it doesn't quite make sense, I want you to take your spouse's request seriously. Stop your own processing of however this would or wouldn't make sense to me if the situation were in fact in reverse, right? And make a decision. Remind yourself of this. My wife, my husband has a pain point. They pulled themselves together enough to share that with me. Let me hear them out. Let me really listen and then make a decision of, whether I am able to comply with whatever their request is, regardless of whether that would have been your issue in the first place, the other way around, regardless of whether that would have been your ask in response if the tables were in fact turned. That's it. So try it. And if you're at a loss, like if you're thinking to yourself, I wouldn't even know where to start. I don't have a clue when the last time was that I said, yeah, that's fair, in response to something that my husband or my wife said to me. Ask your wife, ask your husband, have them watch this video with you. And as a follow-up, just ask them the question, do you notice me needing to approve of this, right? Agree with you in order to make a change or in order to just even hear you. Ask them that question and then pay attention to their answer. And when you're all done, come back and let me know how it went. All right, rant over. That's the pet peeve. Now you see why it's a pet peeve, don't you? I'll see you in the next video.